eligible for tax abatement. And that's a two-step process. They adopted the first resolution last month. And then this month, they're considering the confirmation of that resolution, the actual designation of the area. In terms of the use of the property, I think it's well known that within that area, there are, and we're going to talk later this morning about it, there's interest in the development of solar projects. In order to grant abatement on any property in that area, the council has to take a separate action, and they'll do that, or they'll consider that later this morning if this resolution passes. But in terms of what the property's owners are, how they're affected, there's no mandatory change in use of their property. There's no change in how their property is taxed versus anyone else in the county. Tax process stays the same. You own property in there. There's no impact on your rate or nothing different than anyone else in the county. So, does that help answer your question?
That does. That does help answer the question. So what taxes are being paid for what reason?
We'll get to that. The resolution, so like I said earlier, in order to have the authority to consider the grant abatement, first the council has to establish an economic revitalization. So prior to establishing that, they have to have a public hearing. So they did the first step last time. They're considering the second step this time, and this is a public hearing prior to consideration.
Yeah, so the hearings on designating it as an economic revitalization area. So anyone who wants to speak for or against the designation, that's what we're having our public hearing for. Yes, Carol.
I'm against it because they got to this point due to a board that was never voted on.
Members.
The members.
Members of the boards, she said, the members to the committee. Whoever the zoning board said that this was okay, but the zoning board is not elected.
So there's two separate processes. One is the financial relationship with the county, and that's reflected by the requested tax abatement and some economic development payments that we're going to get to. So the council has within its purview the abatement decision. The commissioners have within their purview the authority to negotiate an economic development agreement, including economic development payments, the road use agreement that would protect the roads, and the decommissioning agreement that would provide for decommissioning. So, the land use decision in your plan commission is a totally different decision. So whatever happens here today, and whatever happens with respect to the commissioners and those other agreements would be separate from what the plan commission still has to pass on for the planning department. So the project would still have to go through the land use permitting process, regardless of what happens here today.
Anyone else?
Is it appropriate to ask how many tax grant money, tax dollars are going towards this project at this time? Well, how much, how many federal dollars are going into building this? Subsidized government money for solar farms.
You kind of answered that, how stuff like that, manager would bring it. There's no tax laws at this point. There is a possibility of a tax credit once built, we're writing that solution level, we're private, we're doing something, there's a market for the power and solar, we're doing this.
Well, I'm totally against it. I just want to voice my opinion because it's gonna upset the dynamics of our whole community. I mean, we've got young farmers wanting to start farming. We're taking out the very most prime farm ground that's in the area. And you open the gates to 6 companies from my understanding. You know, good luck. Well, 2 cents.
And China's going to benefit from this more than anybody else.
What's that, Carol? I'm sorry.
And China's benefiting from this more than anybody else.
About food shortages in the coming years and we're knocking out the best of the best.
How many acres does this entail?
1,800. 1,800, yes. We did get some figures. Kelly got these for me. There's 253,226 acres in Fountain County. 187,354 are for crop production. 8,546 are pasture. 15,827 are woodland. And we've also discussed about if we do this, that maybe we set a limit on the total percentage of farmland that could be used for wind or solar production in the counties. We've also talked about that, which we can't do that at this meeting. We have to advertise it, but we might set a limit on. If this passes, we might set a limit on the total land that can be taken out of food production. Yes.
How much cheaper is this gonna make my electricity?
I don't know about electricity, maybe somebody can answer that. The figures we were given, if your assessed value is, I think it was 300,000, your property taxes should go down $75 to $150 a year.
You repeat that?
If this, yes, if you're, say your property is assessed, was that right, 300,000, was that what they told us?
Yeah, I'm prepared to say, I'm happy to, I know we were there, Jason, somewhat more 1% of our analysis, so I'm happy to go through that, the financial tax. I'm happy to walk through it again.
That'd be great, because
Okay.
since there are people in the public wanting to know. I know they gave us a figure of
Sure.
if this goes through, that it's gonna, because farmland's assessed at a certain amount. But if you put solar panels on, the assessed value goes up quite a bit, so the property taxes on that 1,800 acres is going to increase, which will cause taxes to lower for everyone else. Mostly in Van Buren and Troy Township, but everyone in the county will get a little bit lower taxes, but the most benefit will be the.
That's gonna be offset by the tax abatement. As far as like I'm representing the library. So we are. We run our items, our library by the taxes that come into it, and I need to know what taxes are going to be reduced, if any, and is it actually going to be a positive net effect? So that matters to us.
Okay.
Yeah, we should cover that. Yeah, so these are so intertwined, the decision to create the ERA and the abatement, I think we should just discuss the proposed agreement between the developer and the county. And we have to
Yeah, I'm happy to walk through our analysis, which covers the development as well. I can go ahead and hand out our analysis, which again is the same analysis Jason discussed, just has an update involved with it. Yeah. Is this
Just the economic development payments.
Same one we got before.
Everything except the payments on the last.
Correct,
Well,
yeah.
I think the payments went
Yeah,
out.
yeah, everything except the payments on the second to last page kind of changed. That's the only thing that's changed since the last page. It's somewhat remarkable. So again, my name is Greg Waltona from Bakersfield Municipal Advisors, formerly Humboldt. And so I'm kind of go ahead and run through the numbers here on this proposed project. So this is a 200 megawatt project of approximately $175 million of investment, with 90% of that proposed investment being utility property investment. So that's the panels and things like that. Again, about 1,700 acres of this is estimated to be within the fence, meaning that is what is proposed to be potentially increased in assessed value. And that would increase to about $13,000 per acre. So currently farmland is assessed at $1,500 per acre within the state of Indiana. And that would increase to approximately $13,000 per acre based upon the 2022 solar land base for the state. So that increase in land assessed value equates to about $19.5 million. With that $175 million investment, that equates to, after depreciation and after other factors, about $47.25 million utility property assessed value, and about $8.75 million of real property improvements assessed value. So again, you have those three different categories. You have the utility property, any real property improvements, so any buildings, anything like that are involved in the project, and then that increase in land assessment. So those three categories, again, this is just kind of illustrated estimated assessed values, equate to just over $75.5 million of new assessed value coming from this project. Again, then that's in year 3 of the project, once the equipment is fully appreciated, after that appreciation comes down. So one thing to note is that that land assessed value cannot be abated. So the other two items can be abated, but that increase in land assessed value cannot be abated. So that is one key factor there. Now, what is being proposed here is a 10-year, 100% property tax abatement on those utility property improvements and the real property. And again, land cannot be abated. So that would mean those utility property and real property improvements cannot be, but the land can be, meaning that 19.5 million would stay over those first 10 years. And then that other portion of the investment would come in over the remaining life of the project after that 10-year goes. This project is estimated to take place in Troy Township Taxing District and the Van Buren Township Taxing District. The estimated breakout between those two taxing districts is approximately 68% in the Troy Township Taxing District and approximately 32% in the Van Buren Township Taxing District. So what does that mean? What does this new proposed investment mean for the community? Well, when assessed values go up, tax rates come down, holding everything else constant. And vice versa. If holding all else constant, if assessed values were to come down, typically tax rates would go up. And that's because in the state of Indiana, their units are set at maximum levies. So units can only raise so much dollars that are set by the state of Indiana. Now they could always levy less, but typically most units are at their maximum levy. They levy for what their max allowed to. They don't have to, but they can. Now, so when their assessed values come down or go up, their tax rates fluctuate to generate that amount. So with this new increased assessed value, as it rolls onto the tax base, the tax rates would then come down again, holding everything else constant. So, for example, in the Troy Township Taxing District, that current tax rate is $1 and approximately 64 cents per page 2022. In 2025, when this is supposed to estimated to come online, even with the abatement, that would come down to approximately $1.56 because of that increase in land assessed value. So again, even though this project is abated, it would still decrease because of that new land coming on. And the same goes for Van Buren Township, that's at approximately $1.68. But that would come down to about $1.64 in 2025 because of that increase in land assessed value. Now, once that abatement rolls off, once that 10 years expires, then the entire project's assessed value would come online and the tax rate would reduce even further. Following to Detroit Township, $1.40, and in Van Buren Township, about $1.54. So in the Troy Township taxing district, what are those units? What units make up the Troy Township taxing district? You have the county, which would see a decrease of about 0.0438 cents of that approximately 24-cent reduction, 0.2389. About 0.0438 is the county. Troy Township is about 0.0141. The Covington Community School Corporation is 0.1542. The Covington Petersburg Public Library is 0.0249. And the County Solid Waste Management District is 0.001. So the school making up the Covington Community School Corporation to make up the highest portion of that line. In the Van Buren Township taxing district, again, that was following the is decline of 0.1425. The county again making up 0.0438 cents. The Van Buren Township 0.0199. The Southeast Mountain School Corporation 0.0520. Again, the Covington Petersburg Public Library 0.0249, and the County Solid Waste again 0.0249. So how do these rates correlate into property tax bills? I think that was mentioned before I stood up here. So following the property tax abatement, what does this mean for your typical taxpayer? Someone who owns the median household in the county for the census, that was a $107,600 home. In Troy Township, a property taxpayer paid $581 on the tax bill. After that tax abatement with that new $1.39 rate, they would pay approximately just under $500, a $85 reduction. In a Van Buren Township, it would be about a $51 approximately reduction. Now, $150,000 home, the numbers would increase. In Troy Township, $147 reduction. In Van Buren Township, approximately at $88. And again, this is holding everything else constant, holding assessed values, levies constant to page 2022, showing purely the impact of adding this project into the picture. If you own 1 acre of farmland in Troy Township taxing district, it's a $3.54 reduction in annual property taxes. In Van Buren Township, a $2.12 reduction. And $100,000 business, a $236 and $141 respectively, approximately. Now, kind of coming to the last few pages here, there are a few funds in these tax districts that are outside of the maximum levy. What that means is those funds are allowed to collect additional revenues as this new assessed value is generated. A couple of those funds are the County Cumulative Capital Development Fund, the Troy Township Cumulative Fire Fund, and the Van Buren Township Cumulative Fire Fund. The County Cumulative Capital Development Fund could see an additional approximately $25,000 annually following the abatement. The Troy Township Cumulative Fire Fund could see an additional $17,000 a year following the abatement, and the Van Buren Township Cumulative Fire an additional $2,700 a year. Again, because they are allowed to capture additional revenue. And those funds would see revenue annually during the course of the abatement because of that increase in the system. The county cubic capital development could see an additional just under $317,000 during the 10-year period, or excuse me, during the 20-year period. Over 20 years, while like the first 10 years is abated, and the next 10 years while the project is existing without abatement. And one thing I do want to mention before I talk about the taxes is that someone did mention that, the property tax impact I was mentioning, I was saying that those were in those taxing interests. While that is correct, everyone will see some sort of reduction, again, holding all else constant. It's just that the closer you are to the project, the higher the impact will be. So, those units that are impacted are within those taxing districts. So the farther away you get from the project, obviously the lesser the impact will be. So the county, and obviously, that couple cent reduction, that's for everyone within the county. So obviously, if you're living on the opposite end of the county, you're not within all those overlapping units, so you're not going to feel that big of an impact on the reduction. So now, what kind of estimated property taxes could the company pay? Now, again, this is not necessarily new money, because again, as we talked about, assessed value with maximum levies, but this is amounts that the company will pay to offset other property taxes. This schedule assumes a 3% annual tax rate increase based upon the last 5-6 years that we've looked at within these taxing districts. Because as we know, not everything is always constant. With those assessed values and looking at those 10-year 100% property tax payment, that puts the company at over a 20-year period, $24.6 million of property taxes. And over, for example, a 35-year period, about $58.6 million property taxes. Those are just two examples of different project expenses. With that 10-year 100% abatement, the company could save approximately $12 million property taxes. Now, as I just mentioned, that's what the company is estimated to pay in property taxes over those various lives I mentioned. But that's not necessarily new money to the county or to the overlapping units. However, the next page, which Rick mentioned, is new money, would be new money to the county, to the economic development. And this is the one item that has changed from what's previously been acted on. And what has been on this negotiation is economic development. Now, this is new money that is generally very flexible, that can be spent for new projects, for different things, as Rick had mentioned, in general speaks to that. But it is new money that can be used in the community and what is called economic development. What's being proposed is over 5 payments and is $7.8 million would be to the community. And it is paid in payment 1, $600,000, payment 2, $1 million, payment 3, $1.5 million, payment 4, $2 million, and payment 5, $2.7 million, for a total of $7.8 million. Now we pay to the county over those 5 payments. And so again, that's been under negotiations. When Jason Semler presented, he presented a number, I think, of around $8.5 to $9 million. We've been in under negotiations with the county, with the company. And what we've done over the last few months is worked with the company, worked on present valuing numbers. And originally we were looking at a 10-year term, and we've come down to a 5-year term here that you see here today. That kind of took present value into effect, and again, negotiations with the company, and is now at $7.8 million over 5 years, is what I submitted tonight.
Anyone have any questions?
Greg, just a question.
Do you have any comparison on, if there was no available whatsoever, what that would do to property tax values for you said it's going to be X amount of dollars.
Yeah, so it would be the same. It would just happen soon. Yeah, that's what it would be. So it would just, so everything I've just mentioned, it would be the same. It would just happen much sooner. And what would probably happen in turn is, I'm not sure, the company could probably speak on it, if the project would still be viable. If, if it would happen without the abatement. And then additionally, the economic development payment is typically, structured kind of around the abatement as well. I'm not sure, that typically, projects that, if it doesn't have the abatement, you're likely not going to see that high or even any of that, any of that.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, for the average person, what would their property taxes go down if we gave them no abatements?
And one thing I do want
On
to,
project, if there's no vacant involved. The city would choose.
Yeah.
So,
and one thing, I'm not with the company, one thing I do, I'm a separate for municipal advisor. But yeah, so I guess, as Rick mentioned, I'm not sure if the company project is still happening. But I guess if it did without an abatement, it would be those same numbers. It would just, instead of happening, later on, it would happen sooner. That would.
Yes, are there any other proposals as far as 50% abatement, instead of lower property taxes, or instead of 100%?
The county could look at, different options, but, yeah. I mean, the county could look at different there could be different options, but I know this is the option.
Yeah, there's been, it's really influencing this. Yes. Look at it. I think that, with direction from, leadership to commissioners and the council, and nothing is in stone until, the full bodies can vote on it. There was a desire to try to balance property tax rate relief with additional funds for the county to be able to do some other things. So with the increase in the land value, there is tax rate relief that comes from that. Because the assessed value changes from one record.
The assessed value, yeah, and the land alone, the land assessed value is about $19.5 million.
Yeah, so there's that component that's tax rate relief. Then there was the, and then the economic one, not provided additional cash. Yeah. So do you want to think the specific budget earlier was running back into the library?
Yeah, so on the library. So I think kind of like, the Covington Petersburg Public Library rate currently at 0.1096 for page 2022 is the tax rate for that. We're estimating that following the property tax statement, that will be at about 0.0847. Because of that additional increase assessed.
But there wouldn't be any loss for revenue.
No, there wouldn't be any lost revenue from the project, and that's because, this is just an increase in assessed value, from the project. So this is just adding assessed value to it. It's not taking any assessed value away from that current tax index.
No question. I don't know if you can follow up on this or not. If, given the volatility of our economic world right now, we get started in this project in Fountain County and this company, after everything's all changed and all the tax rates have been dropped for other people, if this company goes bankrupt, what is the impact of Fountain County on recouping our ability to get back to?
You still in the same money. I mean, the county, the rates would go up. Because if you lost that assessed value, the county, if they got 5 million last year, they would still get 5 million extra. And everybody can get the same amount of money they got, maybe not be able to increase the budget. But the tax rates would go up.
Yeah,
You wouldn't get less money.
Yeah, I guess the one aspect where you're right, that, the revenues, what you can levy would remain the same, each year the state will allow you to increase it so much, and what you can levy with the rate of sale. As tax rates were to go up over time, if they were, the only, I guess, loss in revenue potential would be increases in circuit breaker tax credits, so.
That's
Oh,
what I'm
that's-
worried about
That's
next year.
Yeah.
Has there been any, what this effect will have on certain? The loss, if it increase on.
So. There has not been a look at what the circuit breaker, what the impact on circuit breaker would be, and I guess the input of this project. The input assessed value of this project would only help circuit breaker. Would only help circuit breaker because it's adding assessed value to. That is true.
Hello, Tim Shoemaker, Fountain County Commissioner. I just wanted to address a few questions I heard this morning. First was Carol's about the planning commission as a non-elected board. That is actually 100% correct. The planning commission put together the zoning and wind ordinance and it was voted on by the Fountain County commissioners. That is an elected board. Yes, has been approved by elected board. I totally get what Mr. Martin is saying on the younger farmers and things in the area. These solar farms do take land out of production. But per the curious thing on feeding the country or feeding the world. Currently, approximately 48% of the Indiana corn crop goes to ethanol, renewable fuels. This is just moving the land from corn, solar, you're still harvesting the sun or whatever. Our position as a planning commission, county commission, county council would be to 50, you gotta make, you don't have to, but 50-50 on the people happy. Well, just going a little further, I probably should, but on wind projects, what our planning commission did was we talked to people in the county. They did not like wind, and the bottom line was their home values. Even though Benton County, Indiana has statistics, they've got 625 no home values, and they're going down because of wind. But what we did in Mountain County to protect that was, we said anyone in a wind farm, within the wind farm, in a 5-mile radius, company needs 2 certified appraisers for their home. If in 10 years, the home was like condition, and you could get 100,000 under value, the companies had to pay. Well, every wind company that's came in here don't like that. So they shy away from it, but they can still do it if they meet those agreements. On solar, we made it a little more user friendly. We put it as an accepted use in agriculture because, again, I'm a landowner. I'm not particularly fond of people. Government's already in our life enough, telling me what I can do and what I can't do with my land. This is a great example. Cross Road.
Tim, we have a farm south of Petersburg that they would like to be able to use for a landfill. Should we tell them they can't use that for a landfill or give them the opportunity to use that for a landfill?
That is,
If that's what we did.
It should be, it should.
If they want
The planning commission and commissioners should have never allowed this to be, wind farms be unconditionally constructed in Fountain County. Hypothetically, they could construct wind farms from north to south and east to west without the community having any input in whatsoever. And you've allowed that to happen.
if
It
someone
should go
wants
back to the activation to be restricted and go to the easy gate for conversation for the people in the community.
well, at this point,
And it's not irreversible, you can do it. And speaking to Doug's
Perhaps in
issue,
Montgomery County.
the council has no legal authority to restrict anything. In terms of land. It only goes to the planning commission.
And she's never voted
You
on.
just said that the commissioners have voted for it.
You were gonna be done.
You don't think she's had input in this? Don't tell me that.
Look, we just trying to do as many landowners that signed up for this all across the county. They're taking money right now, they're under contract.
The issue is solar or wind or land. The issue is having a process that you have designed and you keep the process consistent along across all the issues. You see,
There is no one saying, I don't know, where's it saying you can't put a land on something, Jim, show me that.
well, they have, if they want to, they've got to go to the BZA
Yeah.
and this.
And if so,
The BZA.
that's when we'll know the answer. Not until. You're throwing things out there
I'm not,
that aren't even, it's
I'm
not.
not. You should have a consistent
Do you
process
see
with solar, wind, and
It
land
is
skill.
consistent. No, it's not.
You allow solar to come in unrestricted.
That's what it is.
Unrestricted.
You're going.
Hey, Jim, we already voted that down,
Voted what?
the landfill.
It can come up at any time, Mr. Tom.
But I think if you go back in there, and I think that was.
Anything can come back up front.
They could.
Anybody,
Yeah.
it's America.
So how do we stand right now in Fountain County on landfill, other than what you just told me? Because our idea, look, when that landfill was voted down, they had so many years to come back and say, okay, we can do this.
That particular one, yes.
So somebody new has indicated, we'd like to have a landfill in Fountain County.
Good. Yeah. It is,
Those people down in the southern portion of the county fought like crazy to keep a landfill out. They put like 10, 15 years to keep it out of there. It cost them money. They finally got the county involved. Lawyers out of Indianapolis got involved. They voted it down. That's all I'm saying. Have we checked on it?
I've lived here for a while, I remember, yeah, but some company wants to come in and try again. They can try it. I mean, we can't stop them. I mean, we can't stop them from coming in.
They would have to petition the BZA and have to be some.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is there needs to be a consistent
Yes, whether it's landfill,
pattern on how
mills,
it's handled.
absolutely. Either that or just like the federal government. You know. No consistent policy or process.
Can you clarify when you said 1,800 acres earlier, is that just this particular project
Yeah.
now and not the other ones that are all signed up?
Right. The other ones
Acre
have
number
not,
of those, you know, it's just started, but there's not people up north of it.
yeah, all I've heard is rumors of, that none of them have come to us, you asked about a tax abatement, so I mean, I think Kelly has heard 6,000 acres.
I've done research. Currently, there are 6 companies in this county that are actively pursuing solar. Now, one of those 6 could be off the table, it's just still listed. Only 2 have actually filed for the project, Crossroads being one, Algonquin Solar is another. I know Algonquin Solar basically consists of 2 or 3 families that have signed that up. GeneX currently has not filed anything and has not spoken with the county on our side of things. That project was started at 3,000 acres. Then I was told it was 6,000, and now I've been informed by the company that there is no limit as to what they can take. Now that concerns me, and that's why I did my research on how many acres are in this county. And I'm gonna take my county council hat off for just a second. I also farm, and I have 2 young gentlemen that are my sons that farm. So this puts me in an odd predicament. I have to look out what's best for the county, but I also have this sentiment of helping my fellow farmers. So it really puts me in a tight spot. And I'm worried about it. I'm worried about this meeting today. Because I'm one of those people that I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I want what's best for everyone, so I have to find that happy medium. I get it. I work with my husband every day, so I understand. And I understand the predicament that my children are coming into. So, it is hard. It is very hard.
So. The council will visit. Women something. That what you're saying?
Well, yes, Kelly and I have talked about that, but then now Jim says we can't, but. You know, I don't know, is that a planning commission that can they set that?
It's got to start with the plan commission. The plan commission makes recommendations to commissioners. Okay, so our council. Your council has a opinion on that.
Yeah.
I mean, just as citizens, you're right on the project. Zoning is all with the planning commission, the commissioners, the county council, fiscal body, any company that comes in and wants the tax abatement, that is completely the purview of the county council. They want a tax abatement as a common incentive, and that is.
But land use falls to
Okay, so again, my question then would be, can the council set a percentage that we will allow tax abatements for?
You have full discretion on granting tax abatements or not granting tax abatements.
But that doesn't necessarily limit that these companies will not build.
No, it doesn't stop them from building, but we can stop tax abatements for only a certain percentage of our farmland in the county. Carol?
Of this 187,000 crop land, how much of that out of state or out of the area farms that own that? Because I don't care whether they get any tax reduction or not, if they don't live here. And there are a lot of them down by my area that do not live in Valley County.
There is in my area too.
So it's
I don't
just
know if
gonna
we
be a
have that.
handful of people that's gonna help.
Their taxes still gonna be figured on the rate of tax. Farmland is taxed, you know, pay that no matter where they live. And what happens on top of it, right here. That's on top.
Like in this factor, but getting this thing going through though can help those people.
A bit. Because it equalizes, there's never an increase in the tax dollars because it equalizes. Your tax rate is set at a certain amount, it does not go above that amount, so everything equalizes and it's constantly doing this all the time. And it's based off of assessed value, so it's constantly fluctuating, but it still remains a constant. So the only extra funds we're getting is what's coming out of the economic development dollars. That's all the extras that we were getting. And the farmers or landowners and homeowners are only going to see a decrease in their taxes overall in the whole county, a smidge, but in that 2 taxing districts, they'll see a little bit greater. Did I explain that?
And Troy's gonna receive more because they got 68% of the land involved. Van Buren does it. It's a very, very small municipal part. No. That's right.
Okay, any other comments on the designation of an economic revitalization area?
If you don't mind, I thought I might answer some of the, so we'll discuss here. So I'm Ed Collins, I'm a developer on the Ranger Power Development Crossroads Solar Project. You know, and I did want to just say, you know, just to answer a couple of this. You know, our landowners, been working for several years now, almost entirely now. There's a lot of work things on the land for a long time, and you'll see the benefits of participating in the economic project. That's kind of aided by the abatement. Jim, you're exactly right. You know, the land use stuff is, you know, as we've seen in this county, in most states, is, you know, that land choices are based in, you know, different body. What we're focused on here is this tax abatement.
And, you know, I think all the issues that you're raising are significant and worth discussion. But, you know, to the point Kelly brought, you know, Ranger is committed to our projects providing benefits in county, the communities that host them. Indiana's created this process by which, you know, benefits can accrue to the county through TDA payments and not just through the tax revenue.
Which I disagree.
Understood, but we're in Indiana, so I got, you know, I got follow the.
I mean, it looks like the energy lobby has a hell of a good lobby in the state of Indiana to allow this ordinance to be, this IC to be used to allow us. To allow this to happen.
You know, you bring up a great point, and these issues, you know, even actually, the issue you brought up about, you know, energy costs, you know, when you, these are important issues. And they're not something that I can help with the council, or even the commissioners, or anybody, these are like two IURC, these are state decisions, right? So.
That concerns me.
Well, and I totally understand that, and, you know, that's, you know, totally, you're an Indiana citizen, and that's your right to do that, so we're absolutely, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for that, sorry. But anyway, we're just here operating under the rules as they exist.
I understand.
I did want to go back to, you know, it's not unfettered, you know, the Fountain County adopted an ordinance, and so there's requirements on setbacks, and on road use, and
I can appreciate that. I should just, yeah, go.
that's fair, okay, anyway, I just wanted to raise that point. However, you know, just back to, you know, what we're here for, which is this abatement, the structure, we really feel it's important that these projects bring benefits to where they're going.
I understand.
It's the structure, by which it's kind of best done. You know, we think that we're excited that, you know, potentially EDA could bring, support from Fountain County and, initiatives that they, you know, that they want to do to, you know, implement in their county. We want to thank the county for working with us, you know, to date. And, you know, we're committed to being a good neighbor, a good community member, and want, to continue working with the county on those, you know. Anyway, thank you.
Are you, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're gonna look at it twofold, if that's okay, I'm gonna kind of pull at least out a little bit. As a taxpayer, I own 3 acres of my own, my taxes are gonna go down a little bit, cool, that's fine. Now, as a county employee, we're gonna make money in the long run, I'm looking at that, that's a benefit to the county. Solar is far less unsightly than wind. Okay.
No, yes, that's your.
But then I look at it too as a person who's the head of my family farm, I'm very close to farming. Along with this in the future. Selling ground to, releasing ground to a big farm. It's an option. I don't think it's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
Devin, do you have another?
What's the big draw to Fountain County? What's the flood to all these projects? Why? I guess I was curious. Yeah. Basically, I mean, it's the marketplace. So there's a huge, you're asking about power bills. There's a huge. No, I'm asking why you're drawn to this county to do these projects. It's because there's a huge need for power. So it's every county in Indiana, there's a lot of where and then what matters is also proximity transmission. We're not trying to build lots of transmission lines exactly the grid. And so there's a substation here that works electrically for us to plug into and get power for 30,000 volts on the grid. So added in expense right now we issue is power. So that's just economics. But it's in a lot of towns. Where are these panels later?
Yeah.
Great question. Currently, they are made in China or local. Our company has invested in 2 different manufacturing plants and committed to buy American water tools for the foreseeable future. Hopefully, it will this project. We're more interested in it's taken a while for America's to pass. And how long is this going to take to get an American made? Well, there's some already, they're all on. We're putting projects now.
you know, the factories that we're working with, I think are, you know, producing, you know, game by 10.5. So,
Is there a problem with recycling when they're done with it, or
so that's been really
command or whatever?
great question. It's really, really good question. So, you know, we're required to post a bond, to decommission the projects, but the materials of the panels and the racking and the wiring are all kind of full of the materials. So it's, an aluminum frame, silicon glass, you know, windshield glass, basically encapsulating, you know, copper wiring basically. And and the racking is an aluminum steel kind of mix. There's no cement board in this at all, just, and it's pushed to the wrong side of the racks. It's all material, you know, good form. Or, recycling, or rated to be put in regular. That's really not gonna happen. You have these warranty for 25 years. And even older generation panels, it's showing that they're buying will produce power and it's not something that so resale is more likely.
Is there a lot of batteries involved with this project?
Power is collected and put straight under the sale.
Company from China, after we get it up and running.
You know, the same thing that prevents, you know, anybody here from selling their business to China. We wanna own and operate it. We're gonna make money off of it. We'd like to make that work.
When did the power be used in this county that's gonna be produced by the? You said it's gonna
Yeah.
produce enough electricity for 30,000 homes.
Yes. 30,000 Indiana homes, that's kind of the estimate. So when the power's on the grid, it goes where the lines take it. We can't, you know, it's not as precise a project I think I thought it was for down the industry. So, you know, if anyone's tapped in a Duke lines where we plug in, you know, here where we plug in, that those electrons are gonna go to them. But how that's kind of treated in the end user bill, that's, you know, what Duke or whoever the power buyer is to decide.
Okay, but some of it could be used.
A lot of it's gonna be, yeah, going to people that are using the Duke energy, you know, they're receiving the power off the new transmission lines. Yeah.
So would you consider a revenue sharing agreement with the county? I mean, the new county has a revenue sharing agreement with the landfill.
I've certainly never heard that proposed. I think I thought it was, you know, the taxes and the tax structure, you know, would be, the benefit there, but, I don't know. We're open.
Rick, I have a question for you. Has there ever been a landowner sue the county and or the solar company for devaluation of their property or the aesthetics of looking at it around them? Has that ever been an issue?
Not to my knowledge, it's been an issue in terms of how people feel,
Right.
but in terms of it materializing into litigation, I'm not aware of any in Indiana. That has come to fruition. In Posey County, there was some litigation as well, but I think that's been resolved. It's very difficult to determine whether the project is having an impact on prices, because there's so many other factors that go into it. So when real estate prices were way up in the spring of this year, you have a solar project nearby. Because of that, no, we don't think so, that's the market, right? Flip side, things are capping off now, maybe headed down. So because there's a new energy project, it's just, or is there some other impact on the property? So part of the reason I think there's been a few cases that have come to conclusion, it's just a very difficult analysis. And in terms of the aesthetic issue, as long as you comply, and the same with the property issue, as long as you comply with the land use process, and it's just hard to make that argument.
Tim, do you have a second?
Yeah, this is the last thing I'll say. Probably regardless how you guys voted there, what you voted, this company's coming. The only thing you're voting on is whether we give up $8 million in money that the county can definitely use. If we don't get it, so be it. But they're coming. Whether we take the $8 million or not, they're coming.
So is the one in Northern Fountain County coming, regardless of? The project plan in Northern Fountain County, is it coming regardless of?
Which one?
You know what I'm talking about.
I can't hear you, Jim. Repeat that.
The solar project that is planned in Northern Fountain County,
Yeah,
is it coming regardless of what we do then too?
they've got contracted land. And somebody fights it, then it's gonna cost the county a lot of money to fight it, and that's what, not necessarily. Just, like I said, talk to Montgomery County. About getting out of contract, so, and we didn't sign the land. The landowners is who you need to blame, there are landowners who didn't sign, that was their deal. There are landowners who did.
I'm not blaming anybody, I'm blaming the system process. It should have been let. The solar issue should
It
have
is.
been let, not right now,
It is consistent.
no, it's not.
If you're a landowner and you want solar panels, you can
Should
sign
have gone to the
If you're not,
PTA.
no, so it is.
PTA for a process.
Okay. Your opinion, my opinion is it's consistent. Then writing it from black on white.
I would like for the plan commissioner and commissioner to go back and revisit that and take solar out. So it has to go through the PTA process and have hearings. I don't care that anybody shows up at the hearing.
That's
As
discussion
done.
for another day. Today is flat out. About this.
Think, Colin, that,
I have a question, Colin,
that's.
because we call, you know.
Yeah.
The land value assessed.
Yeah.
$1,500 a year. And this solar company put a unit on that land, it was $13,000.
That's the value.
That's that.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Regardless, the council doesn't have a say at all.
Yeah.
If they don't have a say at all, that owner, as Tim said, can say, my land's available. They can put those solar units there. What the county's missing out on is exactly what it is. You're missing out on all the extra money that it can use. However, I see Kevin's point a lot. Josh, you still back there?
Yes, sir.
I see you point a lot too, Josh. Yeah, people who are retired. You got land, they don't want to mess with it anymore. They don't want to rent it. Somebody came in and offered them a pretty good dollar. They say, hey, you know what? We still keep our land. The taxes may be on a little bit, stays in the next 100 years. My question to you while ago was, and I didn't get answered on time, is how long are these solar units in the state? 20 years, 40 years.
They will be abandoned in place.
And the way I understand, Jim,
I don't care what your contract says, 40 years from now, there could be bankruptcies. You know how it goes.
and Sandy Lucido. So the assessed evaluation on that land, Jim, the way I understand what she said, assessed evaluation on that land. After 10 years, it was left like it is. Farmers will have to take care of themselves. That's what you're thinking yourself. It'll be tried to land. If they don't do anything with it, why play on that contract?
It may not be, maybe 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes.
But it's still there. That equipment is still there if they don't take it out.
Yeah, that's landlord's responsibility.
So that's going to affect the sense of valuation of that farmland. They're going to go back in there and redevelop. But because the owner, that company, Wright Collins, is supposed to bring that land up to the justification how they found it. They have to go back in and do that land
That's right.
within 1 year.
It has to be, it's a bond to decommission, return the land to what it once was. Yeah.
Do you do that, or does the company do?
It's, so the bond would be available to county, but it's typically us that, we can use that stuff out there, and.
Does that transfer then to the owner of the project or the owner of the
Or the,
Is it?
it's Crossroads Solar LLC, so all agreements to this project are in Crossroads Solar LLC. The owner operator is responsible for that, commissioning process.
Okay, so as a county question, say that company walks away, but that money is in that bond escrow account. How does the farm owner access funds to remove that equipment? Do they remove it and submit a bill? Or do they come to the county and say, listen, I want all that out?
That's what's in their, whatever's in their lease. From the county's perspective, from the general public's perspective. Thought is that there's an interest in removing the property in this ban. So the bond that is in the agreement that I'll negotiate will be for the benefit of the county to secure it.
Okay. You know, if it does get abandoned, first person that's gonna come is gonna be a landowner and says, listen, I want all that out. How do I get it out? And what steps do I need to take? It's kind of like getting, you know, a tile fix. You have to come to the county to ask for the funds to pay for that bill. Yeah, so then, you know, how does a landowner address that?
Well, the normal mechanism is that there is this decommissioning fund that sits there. And when they go to negotiate the landowner's lease, it should say, you have the right, landowner. Something goes wrong to access that decommissioning fund.
Who
And
holds
you
that
can
fund?
even add in a separate provision that gives separate, you know, surety to the landowner. And that has to be funded. So you don't end up in a situation where there's no money and there's these monstrous.
Who holds this fund?
Bond would be made out to the county.
Okay.
Just back to Jim, your point, you know, the bond is over and above what we expect to require. Because the cost of the material out there is so much in excess of what it costs to decommission. That again, the resale is significant, I mean, for 25 years of the warranty, right? You know, what's out there is going to be worth upwards of $40 million, just panels, not including racking and wiring and all of that. There's decommissioning costs are estimated at conservatively like 10 to 12 million for a project like this. And so, you know, it's profitable to remove all that and use it elsewhere as soon as possible. And the 10 to 12 million means decommission the whole project, you know, wires, roads, everything, get it back to farmland. So the panels themselves are so valuable. And then the bond's over and above that. You know, we anticipate not touching the bond because there's enough value out there.
I can understand that for 40 years down the road.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, most of us aren't even gonna be here when you think this project's gonna last. And, you know, there's technology coming down the road, who knows what it'll be that could come about. You know, we're talking a long time here. Changes pretty fast. I'll say one thing. The panels that we're talking about are the same panels that were the same, my basic ideas was, you know, 40 years ago on people's houses. It's just gotten more, but your point, it's gotten much more efficient. I mean, it's like farming, you know, tractors are way different now than they used to be, and just kind of better, you know, I mean, that's kind of what it's pretty simple structure, you know. Everything was very expensive.
Any other public comments?
Okay. Colin, how many counties do you deal with solar energy and how many of them have decided to go that way?
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that once you've gotten in here after a few years, I'm sure you got areas that has had solar energy already.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the United States. How is that looking now? How's that doing?
This is kind of a snapshot of what, you know, Ranger Power develops projects in the Midwest. You have 3 built in Southern Illinois, are building 2 in Wisconsin right now. We have 1 built in Michigan, it's been producing power for some time. We're about to go into construction on the first project in Indiana and Shelby County. There are counties and townships, sometimes there's township zoning, where they have decided, you know, this project, not that project, where they decided, you know, we want X amount, you know, of solar in this county and not more. You know, and then there's counties that, you know,
that see these, investment and the tax revenue or the community funds as a big benefit to their county and kind of, open the floodgates as you sure metaphor. So it does vary, but we have worked in counties that have kind of done all of these things, and we get very focused on our project, just, want to do right by the people who live by it, and are participating in it, and the counties that, are protecting, the people who live around it. So, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but we have seen all the different versions that you discussed, and we've worked in all of them. So.
Environmentally friendly, right? Renewable energy, solar, environmentally. That's what I would.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, then I'm gonna close the hearing at 10:07 a.m. Okay, so the motion or the proposal on the board is to either confirm, modify, or rescind resolution 2022-36 as an economic revitalization area. The area is located in Troy and Van Buren townships and is generally within the area bounded on the north by Salem Church Road and west Osborne Prairie Road, on the east by North Corporation Line Road, on the south by I-74, and on the west by North 530 West. Is there any motion on this proposal?
I'll move to rescind.
Second. Okay, there's a motion to rescind. All those in favor? Or to rescind it? Not to rescind it? 2. So we're not going to designate it as an economic revitalization area?
I think Tom. Second.
Yeah, I didn't say.
Oh, no.
That,
Bill,
Bill, okay.
But I just wouldn't have one before we do, I know we've already voted. Like, did we ever use the word modify? I mean, we've talked a lot of things, if some company can come in and put in a solar unit, they don't come and ask us. So they don't get in the way, they can make the money. You don't get any part of it. That's all, that's what we're at. And that's how I look at it at the same time. I don't see the land used in another way, but same time, that farmer, who's gonna tell that farmer how to, what to do with his land? It's the United States of America. That's all I'm saying. That's why I busted this table for 50, 60, 70 years. To build that one. Kind of like Yellowstone. You mean? I see why.
I think my point is, yes, we would gain close to $8 million to be used anywhere in this county. But at what cost are we gaining that money? The cost is the person that farms it. And it's their livelihood, and it's their children's livelihood. And it's generations that have farmed that same ground. No, I don't want to tell someone what to do with their land because I wouldn't want them telling me what to do with my land. So my point is that I don't want to take away from someone else's livelihood that pays taxes in this county, that lives in this county, and has lived here for years and generations. For what? Because we're going to gain $8 million over 5 years. What is it going to do to them, or to her, or to them? That's my point. And I am trying to look out for everybody, and I want what's best for everyone, but I'm not sure that this is it. I'm not sure this is the end all be all. Josh.
Can I just provide that for a second? Sure. That'd be my normal point myself. Sure. They're the ones selling out. You. Your boys are selling out. It's them selling out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Kevin and I have had a conversation and I absolutely hate to see farming ground taken out of production, but I also don't think that we should be telling the farmers what they can do with their land. And also I have to look at an economic standpoint of $7.8 million to the county is a lot of money that we can help a lot of projects and do a lot of things that need to be done. And that's why I voted for the project. You know, I just didn't want to put restrictions on farmers because they can still go out and do it and put that on their land and then we're out $7.8 million.
Yeah, I understand, I fundamental disagreement, this just didn't go through the plan commission process, the BZA process, commission. They should have never allowed solar farms to be constructed in agriculturally zoned areas. It's not a non-agricultural activity that's been historically allowed in agricultural areas. All the other activities that we allowed when I was plan commission chairman have historical precedent to it. This is something completely different and it should have gone, this whole discussion should have gone through a public hearing at the BZA process. For everybody.
I don't even know who's on the planning commissions. I think it's okay, so. There's a senator in there, and anything.
In the big picture, Doug, what is the county budget in a year? You're talking $8 million.
Over 5 years.
Yeah, that's
Over 5 years.
Yeah.
What is it annually? Oh, the county to operate.
Our budget for 2023 is 19 million. But now that 19 million also includes, I mean, that's our total budget, their money, some of it's grant money to the ports, it's grant money to Joe and other people, but the total that we've set aside on our budget is 19 million.
So right now, there's no restriction for the solar company to come in here. Put in a solar. unit. The farmer said, do that.
Yeah, they want to do it, they do it. We'll go on to the rest of our.
Yeah, there's no sense in considering the other back resolution.
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 11th, 2022 meeting is presented. The additions or corrections to it. Emily, second. All those in favor? Is everybody there?
Yes.
Okay, so 6, 7, okay. Review and acknowledge the treasurer's bank reconciliation and monthly comparison report of funds. Everyone had a chance to look over the treasurer's bank reconciliation for October 2022 and the monthly comparison report of funds. Okay, Tom, second. Kelly, all those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Let me go back to the minutes.
Yeah,
I also give you the council minutes of the 24th and the executive session.
okay.
You need to vote on them.
Okay, well, we've already got motion and second on the reconciliation, all those in favor? Okay, 6-0, and then motion to adopt the minutes of the executive session. Okay, Jim, second. Bill, all those in favor? So. Review and acknowledge clerk's monthly report for September 2022. Is there a motion to approve that? Good. Okay, Jim Lee, second. Kelly, all those in favor? 6-0. Report of collections is submitted, acknowledge report of collections received from the clerk, recorder, and sheriff for October. Their motion to do that, Bill, second. Kelly, all those in favor? 6-0. Yeah.
Three pages.
Okay. 3.
Executive on that. Executive, regular meeting, regular meeting.
Go back. What is this here? That's exactly.
And then
What's this?
you want the rest of these? I kept the ones from the 11.
Okay, so this is the executive session. So why do we have two?
Well, this is the October 5th meeting, or 24th meeting. And then this is.
Oh, that's, yeah, okay, yes, yeah. The regular meeting, that, I mean, the special meeting, and then the executive session. Jim, did you have a question? Jim, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a suggestion on all the transfers. The first one involves pay of deputies, and all the rest of them are just interdepartmental things to make things work out. So I'm going to suggest we put on the
Pay
pay one first, and then we do all the rest and combine them.
Absolutely fine with me.
25 of them. So-
Okay. Okay,
And
so,
then there's a small amount.
yeah,
Right.
okay, so the transfer request on lit public safety, deputy 7 and deputy 8 taking money to pay in overtime. Is there a motion for that? Kelly, second. Jim McKee, all those in favor? 6-0, and then transfer county general clerk, training, education to travel, election board, travel mileage to seminars, county general auditor, postage to travel mileage, county general commissioners, equipment to liability insurance, county general ambulance repair and maintenance to utilities, county general jail, towels, linens, clothing to kitchen, seated commissioners, economic development, travel mileage and donations to economic development dues, and human assessment, website to travel, fraction deferral, project pullover to prosecution equipment, MVH from telephone to utilities. Their motion to accept all those transfers. Kelly, second. Jim Lee, all those in favor? 6-0. Okay, we have additional appropriations, open public hearing at 10:19 a.m. Is there any public comment on the additional appropriation requests? Carol, any questions? Oh, no, sorry. The judge's request needs 2,000 for psychiatric medical, and the town of Hills or King, 450,000 for the using the ARP money for their water system and economic development business incubator in Attica. The 500,000 has already been approved from the ARP money. We just have to do a motion on those. So, okay, you're all right. No public comment. Okay, close the hearing at 10:20 a.m. Resolution 2022-39 Circuit Court additional appropriation for psychiatric medical $2,000. There a motion for that? Jim Lee, second. All those in favor? 6-0. And resolution 2022-40 the ARPA funds, town of Kingman 450,000, economic development business incubator 500,000. Is there a motion to approve that?
We need to state that this is paid by claim, and they're gonna
Yes.
claims as we go, so I mean, we're not just handing in money.
No, that's just, yeah,
Just.
Okay, so-
That it's gonna come through calling.
Yeah.
So,
so we can make the motion to approve the additional request in the amount of $950,000 paid by claims. Okay.
Anything, either one.
Have they turned in anything yet? Oh,
Yes, I have a claim for the business incubator, but I have not received anything from Keenan yet.
okay.
What was the plan?
How much?
How much? Yeah.
I
Is that for?
I think it was like $700 and some dollars. So, Carolyn's question.
Okay, yes,
Have we got the whole $3 million, yeah,
yes, we've received all of the ARPA money.
so how much is remaining?
Oh, yeah, I have. Here, you got it? I got it. We received $3,178,456.22. And the last I had, we'd only spent 12,100 from Hillsborough. I don't know if there's any more claims from them. Body cams, 176,358. And then we netted up to 40,000 for the engineering firm to design Maple Corner. And so I don't think, oh, that's turned into.
It's turning up.
What?
Yeah.
Was that?
Need this one, this one. Thank you.
How much? After one choice.
Well, right now we have $2,966,202.40. But I would say approximately probably 1.5. Still there.
We made 1 point. Wow.
Yeah, so about 1.5. And we want to kind of wait and see what Maple Corner is going to cost. What do you satisfied for that? Okay, so is there a motion on the ARPA funds?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second? Yeah. Jim Lee, all those in favor? 6-0. Salary ordinance. I want to make absolutely sure it matches what our budget is, and so Colleen and Kim and I have been working on that to make sure it matches, but I'd rather wait till December so we don't have to make some changes when we miss something, so we've checked it 3 times, we want to check it one more time. And
So we want to table that then.
yeah, so we'll just table that. Do that next month. Auditor request to transfer,
And then we got the community correction too. That needs to be voted on.
where's that at?
That is the one.
I gave you, I took out the salary.
Oh, this, I was thinking this was,
No.
okay, so this is the community correction salary ordinance, we do want to vote on that, so is there a motion to approve? I mean, we don't have any say in it, we just
Right.
have to approve their salary ordinance for community corrections and West Central Regional Community Corrections, so.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second? Jim Lee, okay, all those in favor? 6-0. Oh, Baines, the eye on.
Oh.
I on this other side, so right today, so.
Forget it bigger. It was, I'm tiny.
Okay,
What is it?
that's community correction.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, the auditor's requesting permission to make transfers from now until the end of the year, so we'll not end up with any funds in the red on December 31st. They've done that every year, so the motion to allow that. Jim, please, okay, second. Kelly, all those in favor? That's
The amount we could still put in the rainy day at the end of the year is still the same.
Yes. Because it went up last year, and it's at 15%.
So.
Yes, Carol.
Quick question for both of us is, what would prevent the bringing this resolution for economic revitalization area back to the new comes on board?
Yeah, nothing, he said,
It starts anew.
yeah. I mean, yeah, because it's just like the business incubator, you know, it didn't pass in July, I wasn't here in the July meeting, and then the next, they brought it up again a couple months later and it passed, so. There's nothing to present it and prevent anyone bringing up something to us for the second time. Department heads. Oh, okay.
Not brought Carrie with me this morning. So we presented this to the commissioners on Monday, and then we've learned some more stuff since then. We ran into a challenge with getting insurance information. But when we transport somebody to a hospital, in the past, we have been able to get insurance information from the hospitals. Hospitals are, whatever you want to call it, lockdown, they won't be able to send that information, so then we try to.
Quick register.
Yeah, and it gets challenging to get that information, so this company called Insure has been talking with us. And I'm gonna let Carrie go through this with you and talk about how she does the billing. And then we'll go for questions and see what my questions you guys have, so I'll let Carrie.
Okay, so basically, like you said, before I was able to get insurance information from the hospitals relatively easily. Now they do what they call a quick register. Whatever our ambulance crew gives them, name, address, birthday, or just a name, or whatever they have, is all I get on that base sheet. I don't get any corrected address, like updated addresses or any insurance information. From them. It's quite a process to get it from the hospital. I have to have 3 points for them to approve to give it from me. If I have a name of a spelling wrong, spelling of a name wrong, they won't give it to me. So it's challenging. I do send out mailings with to each patient to try to get insurance information. I would probably say 25% respond to me, 75% probably ignore me. I just hear nothing from them. So this company is, I put whatever information I have, they'll correct the spelling, they'll correct the address, they'll give me social security numbers, they'll give me full primary and secondary insurance information that is billable for them. So they kind of, I had to answer a ton of questions. On the back page of some of the questions I had to answer where they came up with the numbers. They're basically saying just with the insurance, they're thinking that we would make an extra like $30,000 a year from the numbers I gave them. I personally feel like it's a low number. I have a lot that I send to collections, and then the collection people don't respond to me, but then they'll respond to the collection agency. Well, by then I'm past timely filing. I can't bill insurance, it's a write-off, or it sets on my books because I have nobody to bill for it, you know. They have a deductible management program. With that, they charge you 10% on top of. I didn't understand that when I presented this to the commissioners. So after I went back and talked to her, she explained more. Basically, I can get on and see if you have a deductible, and I can choose to not bill your insurance yet. So that way, like the bigger hospital or whatever can eat that deductible and not us having to bill the patient. If I use their management tool, it would be locked in a queue, and then they would alert me and say, hey, this person met their deductible, bill it now. I told Garth, I don't feel like that's a necessary tool to use right now. I mean, I could use it to check people's deductible and I can hold it on my own. I don't feel like we need to pay them 10% for them to tell me when to bill it. But the insurance discovery is huge. It takes a long time of searching and trying to get insurance information that I'm spending a lot of time on and still not getting.
What's the cost for this?
It's $599 a month. Yes, so it's like 71.88, I think, for the year. Yeah, 71.88 for the year. Now, what they'll do, you'll see on one I showed, and like in August, right now, I have 15 claims sitting on the books that I have no insurance for. I've mailed patients, I've done what I can, trying to get it, and I haven't. For September, I have 18 claims setting.
So you're confident you'll have enough in return on the claims to pay the monthly fee
I do,
plus some.
plus, yes, I do.
And
Oh, sorry. I'm saying, and what they're gonna do for me is I can send them, we have to sign the paperwork. Like somewhat of an agreement with them. But then I can send them a batch of claims, like I can send all of these and even October's I would have by, and she will come back and tell me like of the 50 claims, I found insurance for 25 of them or whatever. Then after we have that number, we can say, perfect, we want to move on, or we really thought that you would find more. Never mind, we don't want to do this.
Contractually go on.
A year.
So it's a year here.
Yeah.
We have a 60-day grace period. So after that initial, if we like what we're seeing and we move forward with it, then we have 60 days to back out of contract and say, we're not seeing what we thought we would. And yes,
Was that in, was that in the agreement, the 60-day risk period, the 50-day? Okay. I had him review just to make sure that they wanted to do a 2-year contract, and I said, no, I want a 1-year contract. 60-day risk free, so we signed the contract and we're down in February sometime and we don't.
and we would have to pay the monthly for those 2 months, but we wouldn't have to continue the rest of the year if we back out in the 60 days. And then at the end of the year, the same way, if we're getting to the end of the year and we're like, I was only getting a couple claims a month, so I'm just basically paying for the program and not really profiting anymore, we can end our contract to not move on next year with it. You know,
The challenge we run into is, so one of the things is. Some of the claim or some of the billing we get the phone numbers for the patient. So usually Jeff will, we'll send out a paper requesting, insurance information, give them 14 days or whatever, the snail mail and all that. And then Jeff can usually call them. A lot of times he won't get a phone call back, they'll never call us back at all. So then we start the process of sending letters. Okay, if you don't respond, you're gonna be subjected to going to claims. Still don't get any information from them, we send it to claims, sets in claims for whatever amount, and then we get the call back and they said they had insurance. And then we can't file because it's has been filed.
right?
So now we have to eat that amount of money.
And I've had the cases where the collection agency says it was their responsibility to give you the insurance, so you can still, so like we can still pursue collections on them, but the insurance company will call me and say they had insurance, you need to file a claim, and then it gets denied for timely filing, and it states on there, you cannot bill the patient because I didn't bill it in time. So, and we've had it with Medicaid, we've had it, which Medicare, I have a year to bill, so I've not had much problems with them. Most of them I have 60 or 90 days. People just don't respond. They just,
Most of these in-county residents are out.
yeah, most are in.
So whatever we file small claims against them, because you don't have to pay a fee. Right?
We tried that with when Daniel was the attorney, and it was costly, or we couldn't get it to work out that way. So that's why we went through the firm.
You get judgment. No, that's right,
But where the collection group is, they'll pursue them pretty heavily, and they'll actually have payment plans set up with them.
I'd say we got 60 days free, try it, might as well try it for 60 days and then
It's
you
not
can come to it,
free, we still have to pay,
but then we
but we
decide
can
whether
sign
to
up.
pay it.
Yes, yes.
So the reason I'm coming to you is it's $5.99, a month. If we turn in, we sign an agreement, we give her a batch of, claims that we don't have insurance information. And we're
satisfied with what they're doing, we have to pay the $5.99 a month. The challenge is that's not in my budget. That was not put in my 2023 budget.
We still have money in the council, right? So is everybody all right with that? Let's try it till the end of the year. Let's try it.
Yeah, that's fine.
It varies for how far you go.
But look at that list,
Like,
if they use it as a, what's it?
I would say like $800-ish. Yes, yes. When they figured this company, they took like the amount that I brought in for the entire year to how many claims. And they figured it like on average, I get paid around $500 a claim. Because of course Medicaid pays a lot less than a lot of the others. People have supplements, and whatever, so yeah, I said if I could get 2, then I would pay for it and make a little bit, and I felt like 2 was, I mean, for the amount that I have that I don't have insurance on, I feel like I will get way more than 2, or I'm hoping.
So you got 29,000 here, so we pay
Right.
$1,200 to collect 29,000.
Right.
5%.
And I kind of look at it too, it's, we've been tossing around the fact of coming to and asking for another part-time person in the office with her, and that would be one of the things to do. By the time you figure out what you paid for a part-time person, that would be a headache. But like I said, it's a 1-year agreement now. I just talked with Kent, he wants to double check, go through the agreement, make sure everything is clear and is good, like I said. I told, they typically do a 2-year contract. I said, well, the county only does a 1-year contract, so they were good with that. And we can step out as long as we're in those grace periods.
You'll know.
Yeah,
So let's try it for 60 days and when you come back to it and let us know how much they collected of the 29,000. And then we can decide whether we want to do an additional for
next year, okay. We may have to pay for in that 60 days, you'll still have to pay for that.
Yes.
Which I'll turn in.
Yeah, turn in, we'll pay.
Okay, and then moving forward.
Fund that we have, so. Oh,
Do they have in that paper one, I mean, basically, person said,
So what I asked for was references. So I talked to an ambulance company out of Terre Haute called Transcare. And they said when they switched, they were kind of like us, they're kind of on the fence. And talking with them, they said, we'll never go away from it again. We've seen a dramatic increase. Star Ambulance and Crawfordsville uses it, and they're on board with it 100% too.
And I talked to a couple of us out of state just to get the feel, make sure they wasn't only giving me the good ones like close to me and, everybody that I talked to loved it. And they said even they've had good returns, but the time management that they've got back to work on other things was huge for them too.
Fortunately, we're not getting the information back from the hospitals. And, sometimes you can get the insurance information for the patients, but as working on the ambulance, one, sometimes I forget. 2, the patients, I don't know where my cards are at. So
And
now,
And from a personal, like I had taken my daughter to the emergency room not too terribly long ago, and we truly was waiting to get discharged to get registered. Like they were done, they were done with us, they were discharging us, but they hadn't come in and got our insurance information or signed for treatment or anything yet. So like, we sat there for 4 or 5 hours getting treatment and then still had to sit there another half hour. They're overworked, they're understaffed, whatever too, so, and by the time they get the insurance information, they don't think that back is maybe a new shift or a different person, they don't think that backs it. Yeah.
okay, we'll do that, we'll forward that on this one. Yeah, the other thing I had, and I don't know, I wasn't in your last meeting, I think Jeff had mentioned about remounting the ambulance. And we said something with the movement. Okay. I know he was here. Right, yeah. So anyway. Obviously, we ordered 2 brand new ones. We're looking at 650, 750 day delivery on that. I have a chassis right now that it's got a pretty nice box on it, one of the top of the line boxes. So I went ahead and had the company that we bought two brand new ones from. He come in and did a pricing on a remount. The remount, that truck, it is on the Lifeline box I have right now, is $245,385. Now, here's the thing. As we all know, the chassis are where our problem is, still 12 to 14 months out. But he said they did have a meeting about 2 weeks ago with the Ford dealership, and they said they think they're going to see some relief probably in April, May. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to get flooded with new chassis? I don't know. They're hoping that that's what the case is going to be, that I see that. So that could change a lot of things. It could change the two brand new ones that could get quicker. But if you think where I'm going with this is 12 to 14 months, we're going to be in about, if we were to go with obviously the two we bought, and if you would elect to go with this, you're looking at 3 ambulances in 2024 cost. So you're looking at the last one was 323, first one was 318. This one's 245.
$5 million. 7.8 looks pretty good. Sorry, Jim.
I'm not going to say I was going to speak up, or I'm not going to speak up. I don't think it was the right choice, but
Already our budget for next year, we're almost, there's no line for any additionals for next year because we're really cutting.
and here's the thing, and I speak my piece. I didn't speak it earlier. Is I understand the landowners. I understand all that. My budget for next year is $1.5 million, if not more. Our maintenance is going to be, I can't tell you what my maintenance is going to be. I have trucks on out right now that are pushing 200,000 miles. And I know I've heard it before, yeah, this 200,000 miles, not a lot of miles. You got to remember 200,000 miles on an ambulance is a lot of miles. And yeah, and so I guess I understand your side, but somewhere you're gonna have to figure out where you're gonna put money. Right. Because my budget and you can't cut things in mine, for example, I'm not just tooting my horn because we're not gonna have an ambulance service.
Yeah,
and here's
just keep going up.
Right.
I mean, they're not going down.
So that brand new ambulance I just bought, he just told me he just sold one in Southern Indiana for $375,000. He bought it for $323,000. And I understand, but somewhere the money's gonna have to come, and we're doing everything we can to collect. The insurance companies are not paying. People are not paying their bills. We're doing everything we can, but the gap between what our budget is and what we're collecting is opening up. And because we're trying to keep staff there.
And the highway, same problem.
Yeah.
Same. We're getting cut $500,000 next year.
I know you guys are in a dilemma.
Yeah. Stop. Okay.
So, I don't know what your plan. Do you want to move forward with this, or what do you want to try to do with this? Table until next meeting. I mean, here's the only thing is he said, and I think I'll double check with him. He did say that they're talking, there is an increase first of the year. And it looks like a 10% increase on price.
Another 24,000 on the remount. So it's 245,000 on the remount if you order it now.
Yeah.
Or
And then in 12 to 14 months, that puts 3 ambulances coming in at the
That's what I
same
said,
time.
there's the drawback, now, we could possibly get the remount next year. But I wouldn't count on that.
we didn't budget anything next year, did you?
Because we did all for 2024. To answer your question, you brought up to me, you asked about, is about chassis, seeing chassis set. So I thought the answer was this was the answer. The problem with ours is the chassis itself has to follow triple K specs. You can't go out
to Ford dealer and just buy a regular chassis and put it under there, it will not be considered an ambulance. So then you set yourself up for liability. So when those are built, they're built as a under a triple case specification. So that's where we run into the problem is I can't go, I'd love to go down there and buy one and just put it under the box, but unfortunately I can't do that.
My opinion is you order it at 245,000 for a 10% increase, but what's everyone else think? Agree, everybody? I agree. Okay, well, I think we'll just have to find the money. You need to get it ordered.
Because it may not be 14 months, maybe longer.
It could be, it could be short, we don't know. I mean, if the reprieve comes with the chassis, as he says, we might get it and make it a next year. But
You won't have heated seats. So that's okay.
yeah, we'll be okay.
Yeah, better grab it while you can because you break down, don't have an ambulance running, and we're gonna be in worse shape.
And that truck that we're replacing has got 218,000 on it right now.
Yeah.
And we're doing everything we can maintenance wise, but at the end of the day. So you want me to go ahead and sign and order it then? You guys approval?
Commissioners, if they're okay with
I'll
it.
take it, well, let me back up. As long as it's contingent on you're okay, I'll go back to them on Monday and make sure they're okay with that.
I think everyone's agreed, it's okay with us, so.
Okay, I'll go back to them on Monday and let them know if they're good with it, then I'll
Tell
call
them we want to have a $24,000 increase. Okay.
Process.
No, because he found the chassis on the state already.
Okay,
So I forgot to mention that,
okay.
because I talked to Kent, they're on the state bid list, so we were able to utilize them on.
Okay, good, thank you. I don't-
I'll get one for approved. So if anybody questions, we'll know.
Okay. But I don't have anything else, do you guys have anything for me?
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Good luck on
Josh?
Thank you.
Josh?
Trinity County does a small bill, I'm just like last year. They're gonna wait, we're paying our own vendors first.
Okay.
And then I have an account in the red, I'll email Colleen later this week and we can get that money moved over. And get things balanced out. If bad things happen, are we still good with taking any monies out for exams?
Yeah, if you have an
after
exam,
budget?
yeah, I mean, you can't help it if you got an exam. And I think we approved that last month, that just take it out of our council.
Just want to back that on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to pay it. Yes. Okay. Jason?
Just to let you guys know, I have started the application process for another federally funded bridge through the state. It'll be bridge number 66. It's the historic non-select there by the shop on State Street.
Going to the old state highway,
Correct, yes. After working with USI and going through our bridge program, we kind of decided that would be the next one in the process. The total cost is going to be about 1.2 million. Our portion should be around 539,000. That's probably not scheduled until 2028, so we have time to work that in the budget.
What we got?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It'll be a rehabilitation since it's a historic non-select. We may, depending on what the state said we can do, it may just be a rehab, not a total replacement. So, abutments, stringers, superstructure, bits and pieces here and there.
What accounts our bridge fund?
I'm sorry. Depending on the contractor, I don't know, Tom, this would be contracted out.
The water part's $539.
Yes, and we can start planning ahead.
Yeah, so we have 630,000 in bridge, human bridge fund, so I don't know if we have anything budgeted for this year. Think out of it. So, yeah.
Where are we at on the salt building?
I have no idea.
Have we had anyone say about a salt building?
The ARPA funds,
Yeah,
last I knew we were going to, and I got a couple
bids, right?
And what the commissioners, did they vote on anything?
I just left it as, we'll look at it next year. Sorry.
I think they're kind of waiting to see what Maple Corner is gonna cost to renovate, to know how much money we have left in that. So,
River Road coming out of Attica, is that, what's going on with it?
We are doing that for our community crossing.
That's-
next year. So,
The whole stretch from
yes, county.
Count Attica. Yeah, I guess a little while ago.
Yeah, so it's on the application process.
Okay. The bridge at Stone Bluff. Is that going to be replaced? You got a date set for it?
That'll be 2027, 2025.
Okay.
Between that, that's on the federal.
Okay.
what's the cost on that?
One way so.
It's that crazy bridge on that curve, isn't it? At the edge of town. Yeah.
Coming off that. side.
Yeah.
Right there before you shut it. I not necessarily, if that was. Rusty got that in place, I don't know if it was one bridge to begin with.
Did he ever say, I don't think he ever really said it.
It's just something that. It does need it, work done to it. Yes.
Okay, I don't know what the project's gonna be, it's not a full replacement that you know.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank God you waited till after 41 got done.
Yeah, oh, yeah. This is. No, the thing with the bridge state. Years.
Right, yeah.
We're just trying to program maybe more to. Keep on top of it. The other thing is, I have some money left in my road preservation and MDA restricted. I was going to call some of the companies that we have leases through. Because I would maybe like to pay one or two of those off if I can, possibly to alleviate some of that for next year. See if there's any penalties or any kind of, because with the MDA restriction, we can use it for purchasing.
Okay, so I'm going to bring that to us in December.
Yeah, I totally. Okay. And the only other thing, I have a couple of discrepancies on the budget as far as pay for positions. So I don't know if I can talk to you later about that. So just, you guys brought the salary ordinance. So.
Jason, this is my comment. Is can we keep in mind some money? Get these roads lined on the outside edge, something. I think it's time.
Yeah, we
Flat dangerous out there.
we can, but I mean,
What was it? Somebody's gonna, this application is gonna be so much per mile,
it was
90 cents or
it
something.
was like 83 cents a linear foot.
But
But it was gonna be really expensive.
Yeah. So
Because there was a decision to be made between someone, a company that's certified to do it, but then something was said about them accepting the responsibility, but that's not how it really worked, am I correct? Okay, so the county would still be responsible even if we outsource the,
yeah.
Yeah.
They would.
or we could buy a machine, which somebody then would have to.
You have to,
Yeah.
buy the paint, buy the thermal plastic. Yes, our plans for the next few years for the community crossings is to do our main thoroughfares. And get those striped. In that process. And then maybe we can start concentrating on the smaller. Use roads.
so all the projects we're doing now, they are putting the lines.
Yes, we have asked them to start striping and put in the shoulder.
And new projects, I mean, they're done,
So next year, we're planning on doing River Road up north. From Attica to Tippecanoe County line. And 2024, we're planning on doing Stringtown. And on the community crossings, we can get between 8 to 9 miles done with that funds that we can get. So we'd like to start here in town. Go past the cemetery, past 74 and out that way. And start working on that. So that's Standard water plans on the next couple of years.
Tim told me you guys did a marker count on River Road, he said there was 800 cars in a week or a day,
It's usually there.
800 cars a day using River Road going to Chicken County. I can't imagine, can you imagine?
Oh, yeah, I've been on the road those Sundays like that.
It's like when we saw the record patch or.
Oh, my.
But anything else, Jason?
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Anybody else? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, I do want to make a comment when he's coming up, that Andrew called me and said that, you know, we approved 3 vehicles. And they ordered, that the company got in 4. And it took so long to get vehicles, they wanted to get the 4th vehicle. Anybody have a problem with going ahead and getting that 4th one? Well, since he's got them, okay. So, there you go. Yeah, we'll
Get it while you can get it.
that's right, that's what I thought.
Okay, we have 74 in jail, 30 other around the county. I mean, anything else?
Maybe Monday.
30.
Okay.
All of well, it's that.
Well, how much do you have?
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Check into that.
I'm out there.
Because we committed some funds, I don't know.
We'll look at that. We'll find it. Okay. Anything else? I do want you, we've had a long meeting, so we'll go over all this in December, but Brenda already sent me an email and said that she'd sent all of us information on the Ready Grant back on May 26th, and nobody's made any comments on it. And I went and I said, oh, yeah, sure, there's the email, I just totally forgot. They want, you know, the agreement here between the 8 or 9 counties is in all this information that I have copies made and the Kim's for me, all these. You know, they want to match, they want to know by the end of the year, if Fountain County will do any matching on its invets, there's child care and a couple others. I printed off all the memorandums between the Greater Lafayette Commerce and the different counties, and I only saw one county, White County, who agreed to give them some money for invets, and no other counties are signed on any of these agreements. You know, they want 71,000 for childcare. You can look all these over. I told Brenda we'd give her a decision whether we're gonna give any money to give any money, so we'll talk about it December. I did tell Brenda to bring that up, so.
Okay, so we need to
Look over, review all of this. There's a lot of pages to read, a lot of trees and into that report. You look over that, we'll talk about it. Next meeting, December 12th, 9 a.m. Just congratulate Jeff and Denise being elected to the council. They'll take office on January 1.
You guys surely know what you got yourself in.
Make sure you get sworn in. One of the judges.
The clerk, I think, will send a, the clerk will send a vote. She gets what's set up.
I didn't get one.
You're either a hero or a
So maybe you need a. Okay, anybody else have anything?
Thank you, Dudley.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
There's a
second
second,
that.
that way, all those in favor?
Hi.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks all. Stay warm out there. It's a chilly one.
Yeah.
I need to-